Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV, and today we're doing something which I think is super cool, and badass, but it's something that I do all the time, and it's called pulling it down. So after that rather entertaining introduction, what that means is our new Model 3 Performance, its first job other than being driven around the street was actually being put on the hoist and given a good going through. Now, I do this because it's part of my process when we develop a vehicle or parts for a vehicle, is just get it, pull it apart, have a good look at it, see what makes it tick. And at this point in time, I don't think there's any real public information on what makes a Model 3 Performance tick, apart from some data. No one's done a real hoist review yet. So let's be the first. Let's get the car on the hoist. There it is there. Thank you, Justin. And let's start having a look at what makes it special. Now, the very first thing we do is take the under trays off. I wasn't really interested in looking at the front of it, under the front covers, because I know it's the same induction style power unit that the vehicle had before, and I know my parts go straight on it. So I was probably a bit remiss not doing that, but I was a bit short for hoist time at the time, and so I got in there with some screwdrivers and hammers and everything else used to disassemble a brand new car and got stuck in. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is the rear power unit, the hairpin winding power unit, and as you can see, it is the code number 4DU, which is makes it special and different from any other previous Model 3 Performance. This thing is more efficient, makes more grunt. It's called the 4th generation unit, power unit. And as you can see in the next pic of a full undershot of it, it's actually really small and compact compared to the outgoing permanent magnet style unit. So they're both permanent magnet, old Model 3 Performance and new Model 3 Performance. The difference is that this one runs a hairpin style winding. We'll do a go through on hairpin windings at some stage pretty soon. You see, I'm being a bit more serious today and not as much of a prankster. That's coming up. But yeah, when you're talking underbodies of Teslas, you're talking serious stuff, and it's something I do like looking at. Now, the next shot is the inverter. Now, the inverter is what makes all the difference. It's basically the power electronics of the motor or power unit, whatever you want to call it, drive unit. And that is a higher output inverter than previously found on a Model 3. So when people say, oh, you know, it's not making any more power than the earlier car, we've actually since proven that that is, and researched, that is actually wrong. It is making more power than the previous generation car. Yes, it is battery limited with the LG pack versus the Panasonic American pack. But what it means with this high output inverter, and this is very interesting thing about EVs, power isn't power as such, because you can have a power curve that goes like that with an EV, or you can have a power curve that goes like that with an EV. So it's how much power over what road speed range determines how fast you're going to go. So that's a really different thing that most people don't have their noggins around from a petrol car world, because you just shift gears and you can stay in a power band, where with an EV, the best gear is only one gear, and the rate of taper determines your rate of acceleration. So that's pretty cool. Another thing we can see is the plate style cooler on the rear power unit. Now, from the track testing we've seen, the rear power unit doesn't get very hot at all. So the 4DU is really under stressed compared to, say, the front induction style motor, which does get a little bit warm flat out. It uses a plate style cooler that you can see there, as did the old generation unit. And I even made some plate style coolers for them back in the day. Not sure if this will go on the new one yet, but don't worry, we will be checking it out in depth. You can probably hear a Subaru in the background there. That noise always makes me tremble. Boxer is life. So yeah, it's got a plate style cooler. It doesn't have a screw-on oil filter, which kind of stymies me with some of my products. So we're going to have to develop a different way of cooling this engine. So the spin-on filter isn't there anymore. My coolers won't fit it now. So I've got to come up with something new, but we are working on that with a company in the United States at the moment. So that's all good. But as you can see, it's really compact, that rear power unit inverter setup. It's got like a rubber glove over it. I'm not sure if that's for moisture insulation or it's because the thing's so bloody noisy. The previous Model 3 Performance, you could barely hear the thing other than a bit of tyre noise. There's a cable falling off my desk. But this one you can hear like a Jetsons mobile, like it's got a real hum to it, like it really goes. And that's a pretty wicked thing, you know. I really enjoy that part of it. So again, like I said I was going to do for the old cars on my old podcast, I'm going to make a noise generation system for them that doesn't use electricity and actually uses the noise or the acoustics of the original engine and or motor, sorry, it's not an engine, motor, and just amplifies them for your acoustic pleasure. So that'll be a cool thing. Won't add anything in the way of weight, and it won't use any battery power, and it won't try and sound like a fake ice car, because we all know that's really, really yuck. Then we have a look at some of the suspension. Like, there's a lot of difference in the front end of the car. Like, everything from the hub, including the hub and arms, is pretty much brand new. So that's really cool. And as you can see, it's got cast aluminium upper arm. It's just a really good thing. And you can see there the adaptive suspension. Now, this is a really, really important part of the car, because adaptive suspension just ain't like any old suspension. Because this is an SDV, all Teslas are SDVs, which stands for Software Defined Vehicle, you can get sent an over-the-air update. As you know, we get given them every, once a month or whatever, to add things, fix things, whatever, just things, because Tesla's a software company. They can actually change the handling of the car now via the firmware updates that they send you. So you get an update that fixes or adds something to the dash. They can also reprogram the suspension in that. So the handling of the car will constantly improve over its life. And I think that is like really a first for any manufacturer, and something that I think is super impressive. So I'll be looking forward to any, changes in handling that we can get. Rear subframe, as you can see, looks pretty much the same. It's got the funniest looking drive shaft boot on the outer end of the drive shaft, though. Not that it means anything, it's just odd. I haven't seen anything like that before. So look, this is a preliminary. We're going to be doing a lot more work with the car in the air and the trays off the car. But just as an introductory look, I think that there's some stuff there that Justin showed us, and that I took the photos. They're not very good. Sorry about that. That you should enjoy. So upcoming, we're going to be doing more tech deep dives. It's probably something that this channel can do that other channels don't, rather than just say, here is my 1 week review of the Model 3 Performance. Yeah, I don't like the way the door is closed and the button for the indicator is real shit, No, we're going to have a look at what makes these things tick, go through it, measure things, work on things, and make things. So once more, thank you for watching Range Anxiety Television.